Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Restoration Mastery TV. Today, we're going further on the bus.
Boom!
In case you missed last week, link below, check it out. We talked about how to get the right people on the bus with respect to your employees, and we promised you that this week we talk a little bit about what kind of insureds and referral sources you would want to get on your bus, and then also how to kick the wrong ones off.
So hard, man. And I think, when we speak directly to you, managers, business owners, influencers of the company, when a job comes in, and oh shoot, here are the red flags popping up. This owner, this insured is going to be so challenging for us. And you ask the question like, why did we take this loss, right? Business owners don't ask that too often. Business owners are like, I need cash flow. Let's keep it going, right? And so it tests the managers. It tests the technicians. It tests everyone.
I want you to remember that customer, that one that you were 3 months in and you're like, why the hell did we take this job? Why are we dealing with this human being? Like, get in that job. I want you to, in fact, if you would, all across America, I want every restoration owner to shout the name of that client right now. Right. Shout it at the computer.
You have them. You've got the names. You know who they are, right? And so when we had to develop the framework as to who fits on our bus with regards to a homeowner, we had to put that together and say, okay, here are the outlines. If they're this, this, and this, they're not going to fit. Guess what? We don't want to go down that road.
Absolutely.
It's in depositions. It's in attorney's fees. It is in stress. It is in people deciding to quit because we don't have the courage to say no. I mean, all this stuff, man. If you've been in business for any time, like this is what we're talking about. And so what do? Right? Do you just allow these jobs to come in twice a year and hope and pray it's going to go better this time?
Yeah.
No, man.
And for those of you guys that are not familiar with what we're talking about, I want you to imagine a customer who, like, let's say refuses to sign your mortgage authorization, allowing you to deal with their bank because they want to maintain 100% control of the money. But it's a $200,000 job. But all of a sudden you find yourself 6 months in and they're not releasing any payment for just random, uncontrollable reasons. Now you can't get paid. Or you have a customer that before you even sign the contract, you've got to deal with their lawyers. And then, you think to yourself, wow. Or you hear, I remember I was in an inspection once, said, oh yeah, the guy that installed that island, we were in court with him for years, right? Woo! And granted, maybe he was a bad contractor, but at the same time, you've got to be kind of scary. Like, it's kind of like you're on a first date and the girl just admitted to you her last 5 boyfriends came home to all their stuff being burnt down, right? Red flag, right?
Yeah.
As a contractor, you've got to be ready for those red flags and think to yourself, maybe this is not the kind of person that I want on my bus.
Yeah. And going back to that, and that's really what it comes down to is, your boss is the company, and so you have to then develop your own requirements as to who qualifies to actually work with you. Just because people are throwing work at you doesn't mean that you should do the work. It means that if you've been in here long enough, you know that profitability is super important. That's how you keep the doors open, right? And if you put yourself and your business and your employees in harm's way of, the example of not getting paid for months and months and months after you've invested, it becomes troublesome. And so you have to be able to create this criteria for yourself as to what makes a homeowner qualify to get on the bus. And once you've done that, then you're on your way and you continue to learn and learn and learn. True story, what was it, 3 or 4 months ago, I'm on the phone, the homeowner is trying to convince Tim and I to take on this job. It's a $300,000 job. Our referral source is saying, please take this job. It'll make my job so much more easier if you take it. But we probably had about 8 red flags with this homeowner, and we had to basically let her know that we respectfully will have to walk away from this job. And there was a little bit of, talk back and forth. I can't believe it, blah, blah, blah. But we knew that we had to protect our company. We had to protect our morale. We had to protect our profitability, protect our reputation, because we knew that these red flags were so big that if we learned anything, and this is the tough part, if we learned anything, then we know we have to hold and stand this ground right here, right now, in front of $300,000 and say no to it, right? And that was tough.
Absolutely.
But it had to be done.
I mean, I think if we were to boil it down, I'm not sure if it was Jack Welch or Peter Drucker who said this. The first cardinal rule of business is don't be a bitch. I think at the end of the day, we have to be prepared to make the hard decisions as business owners and as business leaders and thought leaders. Because just like last week when we talked about the slowest employee will control the speed of the entire bus, that one customer can drag down the morale and the attitude and the focus of every single employee that works in your office. Don't be afraid to turn down a $200,000 sale that's going to cost you $1 million in productivity.
Amen.
The other thing is referral sources, and we talk about being parts of different carrier programs and different organizations. You know, you also want to be mindful that sometimes some of your referral sources send you really bad leads. And at some point, you may also have to break up with your customers. As crazy as that sounds, someone that represents a viable interest and really wants to give you, business, may be giving you the wrong kind of business. The clearer you are as an organization of where you're headed, the better idea you have of knowing whether or not the referrals you're getting from this person is actually leading in the direction that you want to go.
Yeah. And the clearer you are about your values, what does a company stand for, right? Because many times, and I'd like to give that example really quick as we close. Who was it? It was the recall. That was
it was Tylenol with the recall. Yeah. They had to make a really hard decision. Someone was actually tapping these bottles, putting cyanide inside of the Tylenol bottles. And Tylenol had a difficult decision to make, and the decision basically looked like, hey, if we let this cyanide stay out there, a certain number of people are going to die, and it's going to cost us this much money. I mean, look, they have stockholders. They have to, really understand these decisions. Yeah. The alternative was pull all of the product and potentially commit corporate suicide, right? I mean, imagine if you heard that Tylenol contained cyanide. You would never buy it again for your kids, and that was their fear. If they pulled off the shelves, it would cost less just to deal with lawsuits than it would to actually do the right thing. Right. But they made a decision to do the right thing because they had one of these values on the wall that said that they always consider their customer first before their stock prices. And if they were going to live up to that, that meant making this hard decision. Right. And so ultimately they did. And within 18 months, they had recovered. I mean, you probably have Tylenol in your house right now, and it most likely does not contain cyanide. So you're in a good place. It was someone that was tampering with it. They made the right call. It still cost them millions of dollars, but they stayed in business because they had integrity. And
they had values. And so they had this direction already set up, predisposed. This is what we believe in. This is what we're going to go after. And when these things start to pop up, like this situation with the cyanide, it was difficult, but they went back to their values. Okay, what do we stand for? Let's talk about this again. And so when you're faced with an issue, with an insured, with a client that is maybe, it's a red flag, what do you stand for? What is it that's most important to you, right? And then throw that issue up against the wall with your staff, look at it and say, guys, what do we think about this? And you will have the right answer. You will. But without any direction of what you're going to be doing or where you're going to go, you're going to end up all over the place. And then you're going to end up so stressed out that you don't know how other companies do it. What are they doing, man? They seem like they're not stressed out. They've got work coming in. You've got to start with the basics, man. You've got to have some core values and say, this is what we are going to stand for, and then hold true to those as best you can.
We'd love to show you guys some of our values and what we stand for. So we have an opt-in on the bottom of this page. If you go ahead and click down here and put your email address, we'll actually send you 5 of our service values that we use on a daily basis to guide every single decision we make with respect to should we take this customer, should we keep this employee, and should we value this referral source.
You're going to love that, guys. This is going to give you some insight as to what we do to create the framework to protect our own bus. So until next time, be courageous and live with passion.
Peace.
Peace.